over Bayern. And when you look at Villa, obviously they just beat City, they just beat Arsenal. They are right there in the contention for the Premier League. Let's look at some of the underdogs. We start with Girona. Let's hear the ESPN FC guys talking about, the TV guys talking about quite a great story in Spain.
After 16 matches, Girona, top of La Liga table, 2 points clear of Real Madrid. That victory over Barca puts them 7 clear of the defending champions. As you can imagine, this was the story that dominated the front page of the newspapers in Spain, talking about this extraordinary run that Girona have been on. Barca, of course, the latest and greatest side for them to slay, as they are going against the odds to put themselves top of the table. For more on this, let's welcome in from Spain, shall we? Alex Kirkland is here. Alex, I'll come to you in a minute. It's interesting, Craig. I watched this game and I thought of you because of what happened last weekend when we were doing Atleti together. And we were so disappointed by Atleti not going toe-to-toe with Barcelona, retracting into their shell. And the concern was that Girona would do the same. They didn't. They were brilliant.
No, I think there was always more of a chance of Atleti regressing a little bit to the means, which is what they did for a period. I think Girona's just a different animal this year. They play on the front foot. They play attacking football. They've got a lot, not every player, but they've got a lot of cast-offs. They don't spend big. They've never spent more than, I think, 7 or 8 million on a player. The highest have finished 10th. They got Eric Garcia at the back, who was poor at Man City, was poor at Barcelona, alongside Daley Blind, who Robbo said in the commentary yesterday was absolutely superb.
Yeah.
But Daley Blind, I thought he'd retired. And what impressed me more, particularly as the second half wore on, was they, to me, played the better football out of the two teams. We can dissect Barcelona's defending, and we will. But out of the two sides, there was more of an idea and a pattern to what Girona were trying to do, rather than the sort of desperation of what Barca were trying to do. And the consummate ease that they were able to get from defence to the final third in attack, and how quick they did it and how easily they did it, was scary. It was great from Girona, the way they passed it out of defence, into the middle, around the corner, up to the big front man, or out wide, and before you know it, they were running at a very, very fragile back four. I thought they were absolutely brilliant. I watched them a couple of weeks ago against Athletic Club. It was a 1-1 draw at home. And I thought Athletic Club put up a bigger test for them that day than Barcelona did at the Montjuic yesterday.
All right, there's Craig Burley weighing in on Girona. He mentioned something funny. I actually thought the same thing earlier in the season, but I was surprised Daley Blind was on that team. I did not know. So I said that's how they were obviously off most of our radars, and now they are sitting atop the league in Spain. What do you make of Girona right now, Janusz?
Well, I mean, it's been superb as you see the squad. I mean, a lot of surprises there because the players that are coming in are filling in and playing at a level that look, I mean, I know Dovbyk and I know Tsigankov in particular. I was actually trying to bring Tsigankov to Major League Soccer. Nobody wanted him. There you have it. Those are great players. It's a little bit of a surprise. They've had history. Remember last season, Tati Castellanos, who play here for NYCFC, another team that's owned by Manchester City, and that group, of course, had 4 goals against Real Madrid last season. Now he's at Lazio trying to find his way, and now in comes Dovbyk, changes that. You also have Stuani that can come in off the bench. He's got the experience, a little bit older, but still can score goals. So that's positive. I think defensively it's a little bit of an issue. Now that I mentioned a little bit of, our neck of the woods, Yangel Herrera, who also plays in that midfield, former NYCFC, very, very important player, I think, as you go through the season, because in the center of the pitch, he gives you that little bit of a strength and that transition that he's very good at. Defensively, it's a bit of an issue. I mean, they score goals, 39 goals, up there with the best. Have conceded 20. I think the simple answer to that is that, the pressure is going to get to them. We've been here. We've done that. I mean, look at some of the teams that have asked questions of Barcelona, Real Madrid in the past. Look at even Real Sociedad now. Look what they're doing in the Champions League. Top of the group now, ahead of Inter, obviously, and they play just as good, and you could argue maybe even better than Girona. And look at the difficulties they've had at a time where Real Madrid and Barcelona aren't even at their best. Atleti always there or thereabouts. So I know it's a great story, and I think the spirit and the way they play and the lack of pressure can go a long way, but that pressure will come, and it's going to start coming right about now and for the rest of the season. And if I look the way Real Madrid are kind of as we've mentioned and earlier, talking about Manchester United rebuilding, right? I mean, they still don't, no Thibaut Courtois, although obviously in the goalkeeping department with Lunin and Kepa, they're fine, but he comes in, Militao comes back, Vinny Jr. comes back, Bellingham's doing incredible. Look again how they're phasing out Luka Modric, and let's not forget, against Union Berlin in a game that meant absolutely nothing to them, right? They still didn't have Tchouaméni and Camavinga, and yet they still can kind of use Toni Kroos, some of the veterans like Kroos and Modric to kind of get themselves through, not just in the Champions League, in La Liga. I think if you look at Girona, there's going to come a time that depth is going to be showing, and they'll be lucky to fight for the fourth spot in the league.
Okay, I mean, right now the odds makers, the ESPN bet has Madrid still a significant favorite, -185 to win the title. Barcelona second favorite, +450, 4.5 times your money, and Girona is 5-1, currently ahead of Atleti. It would be an amazing story. They do really harken back to Leicester for me, obviously, in terms of can they outlast? And we all said that they couldn't, and Leicester found a way. But within that, though, the Premier League teams around Leicester that year were significantly down or underperformed, but we thought they would. To your point, I don't think Madrid's going to do that. Madrid's got enough institutional knowledge. You only need one team to overtake them and kind of stay at their average level, if you will. And I think Madrid will do enough in the end. Let's go to the Bundesliga, because this one I think is interesting, because Leverkusen already drew Bayern this year. They have a lot of good players, a different pedigree. This team's been in the Champions League for most of the last decade. Quality players, a coach that's Xabi, Xabi Alonso's done everything in football. They're currently +225, second favorite. Bayern -300, massive favorites to win the Bundesliga. And bear in mind, last year, Janusz, as you know, they shouldn't have won it. I mean, Dortmund literally just gave them the title last year, and Bayern's still massive favorites in this. When you look at Leverkusen, I really feel like they have staying power without a doubt. Do you question their ability to be there in April and May competing for the title?
No, I don't. I know we talk about Girona. In a second, we're going to talk about Aston Villa. They're teams that maybe there's an opportunity this season to do something special. And if you're going to pick a team, it's Bayer Leverkusen. And I know we kind of laugh about it because the Neverkusen. But this is a different team, that's for sure. Not only do they have a young, progressive and a very, very good manager in Xabi Alonso, but the way they play, they can possess, they can attack. I mean, in particular, when you look at some of these goals, they're breathtaking, but they can also score a goal with 2 or 3 passes. And what I love about them is their balance, because it's incredible. When you watch Leverkusen, you really understand that in terms of going forward, I mean, they have so much, right? And they're maybe second best in terms of scoring goals, 39 at this moment. I think Bayern are ahead of them, but it's defensively. I mean, that balance. I mean, they're the best in the league, conceding 20 goals. And you look at Tapsoba and look at Jonathan Tah. I mean, now everybody's talking about Tapsoba and Tah. They won them. You look at Grimaldo. I think we all remember him. I hope that people in Bundesliga have found out, but we remember him at Benfica, right? His set pieces, his free kicks, his ability to get forward. I mean, his crossing is second to none. His ability to really come inside, take the ball on the dribble. So you're talking, I mean, they often play with 3, sometimes they play with 4. So they're really, really strong. And you know what? It doesn't end there, because now you have, I kind of want to take my hat off, because, Xhaka coming over, we saw him leaving last season Arsenal, how important it was. After so many years of, I don't know if it was underperforming, or maybe it was that transition where we sort of always look at Xhaka as the scapegoat. But maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was just that process of rebuilding the team, and he sort of looked bad, but he came good for Arsenal last season, to a point where Arsenal probably, if they could have kept him, they would have kept him. And by the way, this Arsenal is missing that piece on that left side, aren't they? Right? They could have used him there instead of some of the players that they have. And he's playing here, I mean, in an incredible way. Look at Boniface, right? I mean, Moussa Diaby leaves, and you think it's a big hole. Boniface comes in, fills that in. Frimpong has been absolutely outstanding. Another piece on that right-hand side where he can just bomb anywhere you put him in that situation. So I just think that that Xhaka, Ezequiel Palacios, another player in the midfield, it's as balanced as anyone in that. And because of what you've mentioned, that this is certainly not the Bayern Munich that we've seen. This is continuation of last season, where there are many questions that we can ask about them. Of course, Borussia Dortmund, still not a team that you think that Bayer Leverkusen can can get past. Stuttgart, actually, I think the last 2 draws for Leverkusen were against Stuttgart and Dortmund in the league. Not necessarily the worst thing. They just beat Dortmund in the Pokal as well. So this is a team that has proven over the season right now that they are fully deserving to be at the top of the league. And it's not just because Bayern is off a little bit and Dortmund maybe as well. They just, based on what they do going forward and defensively, they truly deserve to be top of the league. So I can see that probably more than any other teams that we mentioned today in this piece.
I think you're dead right. You mentioned the balance. I think the consistency of performance from this team has been rather remarkable through the course of this year, and I think it is sustainable. I think you also got to look at the league broadly when you're thinking about these, not necessarily long shots, but these underdogs we've talked about. It's what type of league are they in? What have they done against teams they're supposed to beat? And obviously Girona's taking care of their business. Bayern Leverkusen has done it across the board. So to Villa, because Villa, the challenge with winning the Premier League, though, is there are more teams and more stumbling blocks along the way, at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom. There's a deeper depth of talent that causes these problems. Villa right now beat City, beat Arsenal this past weekend. They're flying high. They're in third behind Arsenal, Liverpool, and right ahead of City. They're still not in the equation, though, to win it from the odds makers' perspective. City minus 110, Liverpool 3-1, Arsenal plus 325, 3.25 on your money. When you look at Villa, are they going to be competing for the top 4, or are they going to find a way, Unai Emery and crew, to compete for the title when we're looking forward to spring?
Yeah, you almost have to earn that. It's almost too early to say, right? Because again, with Leverkusen is a little bit different because they're the sort of team that's kind of always been up there in the Bundesliga. They've often been in the Champions League. I think there's some pedigree that goes with that. With Villa, I don't think we have that, and it's way too early. I think it's an incredible job that Unai Emery has done, but again, pressure is going to come in, just like Girona and Leverkusen are different because they felt that pressure over the years. Villa, when was the last time they found themselves in this position? Almost like a little bit of a nosebleed. And although they have a great manager and they have a great team, I mean, they're obviously incredible at Villa Park, but away, there's still some issues. I think that the league being so competitive, unlike, I don't want to say the other leagues aren't, but not to the same degree. I think obviously now, as we've said, festive season ahead of the festive season. Right now, the games are coming thick and fast. They're in Europe as well, which is good. They'll probably come out of that group. Oh, no, they're out of the group already, I think. Legia, Alkmaar, it's just a question when. I don't know if that helps them or hurts them. I think they have enough depth to get through the next month or so, and I think we'll know more about it. But I look at them as I think at this moment legitimate contender for the top 4, but not for the title. I think at some stage that pressure and maybe a couple injuries that everybody's going through, but them. I mean, they'll recover Minks, which is going to be big. Other than that, they're pretty, relatively healthy, I think. And they're firing on all cylinders. But I think there's, even in the last couple of games, the effort they gave against Manchester City was incredible. Against Arsenal, right? They looked spent to me. Arsenal lost that game. I'm not sure they deserve to lose that game. They deserve something out of it. They controlled the game after conceding an early goal. But I just have a feeling that there's going to be some hiccups from Villa.